Okay, we're here with some more live and direct action, and today our guest is going to be the one and only Bruce Irons, and I'd like to call him one of my dearest friends, somebody I've been through a lot with, good, the bad, the ugly, and so he's recently, back from some recovery, and we're just going to get into our relationship, his life, what are some of his ups and downs, and some of his most special moments as a child, as a pro surfer, and really just dig into the old Bruce. So I'm going to hit him up and hopefully he answers. Let's see here. There it is there. Boom, bam. Okay, we're on. What?
What's up, Nate?
What's up there, big bad Bruce?
What's up?
Looking all fit and healthy. I'm gonna turn off. How do you turn off the camera over here? I'm gonna turn off my camera so I don't have to see it. So, bam, there you go. I'm on. Oh, that's a nice crotch shot. Looking good. Well,
I don't see you.
I know that was, so we don't gotta stare at me because it's about you. So, so what's the deal? First of all, thank you so much for answering and being able to do this, and I'm so glad to see you back sane and normal. And I think the whole world really wants to hear from the big bad Bruce. So we're gonna rip into this.
What are we going to talk about, Nate?
Well, first of all, what are we gonna talk about? I mean, if you really want to dig into it, uh, I'm just gonna say, what was it like growing up with Andy Irons for a brother and being his younger brother? Because I was a younger brother too, and it was a lot of trials and tribulation, but it made me the person I am. So I feel like, well,
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, like being younger brothers. Um, you know, that's why I your brother's surfing and you're surfing really paved the way for me and my brother in the movies that your dad made. But yeah, I guess me and you had a kind of a similar connection just because of the younger brother thing. Growing up with two older brothers that were super radical. you know, like underneath them, growing up is it's a lot to deal with, physically, emotionally, everything.
yeah.
Don't you think?
Oh God, I was gonna say the word radical too. Yeah, two radical older brothers paving just a blazing a trail of fury, and then
You're just right behind them on their coattails, but like thinking it's all everything's a okay, but really, it's just like controlled man
yeah,
in a sense.
yeah. I always refer to my brother too as a child, which I told you earlier, and I could uh, attest this to you and your brother. But he was supernatural, and there was these years where everything he was doing was just insane, and it was crazy to be the younger brother and see that and know that you'll never have like, I don't know, maybe not that ability or just that sense of just the extra and just just everything was just happening, and it was just crazy, but it was all normal too and making sense, and just so much good was happening, and then so much radical, and then there was some obviously some bad in there, and it's weird how.
How was it like Christian's your brother, like growing up underneath like his like what was going on with him, like you're watching that stuff, like what I mean, he was like, whoa, where did like him start thinking like, oh, I'm gonna start doing judos on waves and stuff, like where did was that he was skating and stuff, like because I remember like watching videos when I was younger, me and my brother, and like when that Wave Warriors 3 video came out, and I remember seeing like Christian's part and Archie's part where like he's doing like Archie did like this nuts like rail slide at Trussell's. We're like, whoa. And then Christian did this reverse. We're like, whoa. And he's doing airs. We're like, whoa. Like, wow, what's going on there? Like, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, that's where I think the supernatural kicked in. I think it was skating and just where his mind was. Definitely skating, and then also too, my dad used to take us to the skate parks and be like, "Oh, airs are coming." We'd go with my dad and Jason Jesse to this park called the Big O, and it was like the music was changing, and so just the whole mindset, everything was kind of radical. It was normal though back then. I feel like everything's gone so conservative because everybody knows so much with the information with phones and all
Yeah,
that.
I just feel like that at that moment in time, like your dad, your dad really harnessed it, the level of surfing, like you know what I mean, like on and captured it on film, and like with the music and like elevated surfing right then and there with with that movie and the songs and the way of surfing. It created this created how me and my brother surfed.
Yeah.
And all of my friends that were watching the video with us, we were just psyching on it every day. Like we just wanted to go big and fast and hard.
Yeah, go big and fast and hard. That was kind of the era of that. That's what I mean. It's gotten so much more. Everybody had to slow down a little bit just to catch up and like kind of got normalized. Like even my brother would do stuff and it's like people would say, "Oh, that's not a surfing maneuver. That's this and that. That's not cool. That doesn't have style." But now you open, well, there's no magazines open, but you see a video part and that's what everybody's doing. And it was just,
Yeah, your brother got the short end of the stick on this whole deal. Like if you look at surfing nowadays, like everyone surfs, them going above the lip, and like your brother was the person like that put that thing on stamp. You know what I mean? Like in that body glove contest at Lowers when he won like $32,000, seven.
yeah, yeah, the most prize
You
money
know what I
ever
mean?
at the time.
Yeah, like I want to say like when he was hunting airs there, and it seems like it was new to the whole scene, and they did not know how to like accept it. They just had to score it. You know what I mean? And then after that, like he won that event, and then like what happened like there, like what happened there?
Well, nothing. It took 20 years for people to understand what was happening. But that's, like I want to say too, like anybody that's really great like that, in a sense, it's like a person like Da Vinci, like you don't ever get recognized till 200 years after you're dead or whatever. And the great artists, it's the same way. They're like, oh, look, the Mona Lisa or something. But that guy, he never probably got paid in his life for doing art.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like so, like yeah, so the mindset of Christian, like you know what I mean? Like all right, like people are just carving, trimming, doing this and that, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go up and over.
Yeah.
And he was doing like even board spins in like I want to say late '80s, and like
Yeah.
guys
Definitely.
still they only just now like I mean like Noah Dean and Chipper Wilson, like those guys got it, like Cremo was doing little pop shove-its and stuff, but like Noah Dean, Chippa, they figured it out and they
Yeah.
got it. You know what I mean?
And that's funny too, because like if I was talking to Danny Way and it was about like, the mega ramp and this and that, and it's funny because if the wheels didn't go small and the boards get real small in skateboarding, they would have never got that control. And so it's like things have to go really small or start on a elementary scale to be able to bring it to like a mega ramp,
It's like it's like going from caveman to the wheel. Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny. Okay, so
I know what
that's
you're talking about.
That's great. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about or ask you, pick your brain, was on contests and stuff. I never really looked at you like a contest guy. You always tried hard and you were on tour and this and that. But I've told you, I don't know how many times, but more than hundreds. Uh, is I feel like you're a specialty event guy because you've won all the biggest, gnarliest contests like the Pipe Masters and the Eddie, and when it really came down to it, Padang. Um, and so it's funny, you weren't really cut out for the tour because I feel like your personality, like your brother had that real competitive thing. But then if it really comes down to the gnarliest ones, you've actually won all those ones. And so it's interesting to see that you're not like a normal contest surfer. You wait for the Big Bang Theory.
the Big Bang Theory. To tell you the truth, I was not a good competitive surfer at all. I was not. Um, Pipe Masters, yeah, Eddie Aikau, that's just different. But like as a surfing competitor, I wasn't a good competitive surfer. I thought too much. I thought about what everyone thought too much, and that was in my head a lot. Sure, like a lot of surfers are like that, but um, I watched the people on tour and the way they surf now, like Gabriel and John and everyone. Those guys down there, they're competitors. They can surf the wave. They can just really surf the whole wave. Me, I was more just like I was doing competition because my brother was doing it. When I was younger, and I was just like I just wanted to have fun, and I just I never thought surfing was gonna take me to.
Oh, that's you getting a call.
Yeah, I didn't think surfing was gonna take us to where it did, but it's, but my brother, goddamn, sure was determined to be.
Yeah.
He knew what he wanted. I didn't know what I wanted. I wanted what he wanted. I guess I wanted to follow what he was doing, and he was determined to like be the. He wanted to be the best surfer in the world. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I
he
feel
wanted
like
what they had.
it
He wanted
got
to get out of where we're at. He wanted what they had. He wanted to take it, and shit. I was just trying to like keep up,
God, he did a good job at that.
follow.
Yeah. That's the younger brother syndrome. Okay.
Yeah, brother.
So, on that same note too, we're working with Derek Hoffman, but he has all the footage from the OP boat challenge, and he just said what a great contest that was. And I think Aki might have won it, but how was that contest?
I enjoy like that type of environment scenario. Like that was more that OP boat. That was an amazing trip. That was I wasn't on even. I was young. I wasn't on tour, and who is this? Me, my brother Sonny, Aki, Tim Kern, Shano,
Couple
Shane
of
Veshin. But yeah, like just pulling up on the. That's just like surfing really good waves with. That was amazing. You know what I mean? Like being young and getting it to a place in your surfing, you're like, oh, I'm finally at a point to where like, ooh, I can battle with these guys, and now we're in a really good arena out in the middle of nowhere. And these guys that I've watched videos, looked up to my whole life, now they're my comrades, friends. You know what I mean? Like I'm just the whole thing is you're just tripping like wow, like look where I'm at, and your skill level, is you're on point, and the waves are good. It's like let's that's an arena for competition that I like, like and just that trip was amazing. You know what I mean? With Aki, my brother Shane, Hobgood was with us. No Can Dewey. I think we had a 4 hour heat at No Can Dewey. It was that was yeah like that's the kind of contest I like, a 4 hour heat at No Can Dewey.
That's insane.
But like the competition grind that my brother, I didn't have that mentality of like that thought that he had of points and the whole. I didn't have like that's a different beast. Fuck, that's a different beast. You know what I mean? Like Mick has that. Kelly, my brother, like that world title shit. Joel. Me, I was just more confused. Just event by event, just trying to get heat by heat. Like those guys are like fucking on a fucking mission of world domination.
Yeah, because I remember too when you kind of got off the tour, me and you started traveling and doing
Yeah,
stuff, and then
yeah. I wasn't happy. I wasn't. I wasn't. I realized like, fuck. I love surfing, but the competitive part of it, it's cool, but that feeling that it brings out of you, like that brought me back to my childhood with my brother, like that's a fucking, that's a, that's a, that's a feeling I didn't like because it was like very violent. You know what I mean? Like with me and my brother, like you're competing. It wasn't just like, oh, ha, 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 ha. It was violent. You know what I mean? Like, and, that's fucking feelings that fucked me up inside. You know what I mean? Like, and it kind of messed with me like my whole life, to tell you the truth. Then just the way we treat each other after I would beat him or he'd beat me. You know what I mean? It was just like we weren't the best. We weren't the best friends. You know what I mean? Like we were straight up at each other. And so that feeling I always had I didn't like it because it just didn't feel natural. And because when it comes down to it, like when you're in a heat, like it's like all or nothing. That's how I was raised. Like fuck that person. You know what I mean? Like I'm fucking gonna kill that guy. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a savage way of thought. And like you can't be half-assed of that. If you want to win. And I don't know. My brother, I guess, learned how to harness it, but he did, but didn't. And I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know. I've been thinking about like a lot of that kind of stuff these days, and just growing up, just been doing a lot of thinking about the mind and how it's just life. And yeah, it I don't even know where that story started at, but OP Boat Challenge.
It's funny too because that's what I was gonna say. It's like after you got off tour, me and you started going places, and it was like in my heart, I really feel that camaraderie pushes the surfer to such a better place than competition. But some people thrive in that competition arena, which I never have. That's why I never did contests. But I do remember like us going to Pasquale's and you just kind of fresh and then like bam, just getting these waves and spit out of barrels and then boom, getting the cover. And it was kind of like a resurgence in.
That was such a good trip. Yeah, like that. That's what I was chasing out. You know what I mean? Like that's what made me happy. Like those trips like that, just like on a drop of a dime. Because we were supposed to go to Tahiti. I remember for that swell in Mexico. I was convincing you to go do the trials in Tahiti, and my brother he was on tour, and I remember we figured out it was going to be small and onshore, and we're like, okay, we're not doing that. We're going to Pasquale's, and we went to Pasquale's, and we ended up scoring, and then my brother ended up winning that contest, actually, right? In Tahiti, when we were in Mexico.
It's hard to remember all the details, but I definitely know shit was happening.
Yeah, he did. Like, he won that contest, but we scored like that. There's like we were in Mexico for like I want to say like 12 days, and it was like huge for the whole time. Like there's like 3 just big swells.
That was something. That was something I remember too. Is like surfing and then seeing you like in contests and stuff, and then surfing with you even like on a boat trip or whatever. And I'd be like, God, this guy's the best in the world. He just can't put it together under their format. But then like at Pasquale's, like some of the barrels, and then even the airs, like us surfing in the afternoon doing airs. It was definitely some of the best times of my life, and it was like you were transitioning and having weird. I just remember having so much fun and getting crazy waves, and and then leaving and being like, "Whoa, what just happened? That was nuts."
Yeah, see that was fun. That was having a lot of fun, and I wish I could have had that fun mindset on tour, but it's so you put a lot of pressure on yourself. When to make the tour and stuff, and it was I just pressured myself out in my head. That was pretty much it. Like it's a lot going on. That for me that was a lot going on in my head. And, I wish I could have just took that fun and took it to the tour, but it didn't happen that way. My brother did.
I don't know, did he?
My brother did, and him and Kelly had a great old time.
Yeah. No, that's insane. That's another thing too, is just going into all that. We had so many great trips, and I feel like it's not over, but I know you just got out of some recovery stuff,
We had
and
a lot of good shit, like Fiji and stuff too. That was I saw something that you're saying, or something. I saw something like a YouTube thing.
it was on Stab.
I think you were talking to me. You're all because I remember you calling me on the phone like 15 times, going, "At the end of the year, Bruce, if you don't want to see a shot and be like, I could have been there."
Yeah.
You know, remember that one?
That was for Fiji. Yeah, it's on Stab right now. But that's exactly what I was
Was that what you're referencing?
Yeah, because I was like, you don't want to, in 20 years, you don't want to be like, I missed that swell, because it was like, it was going to be something. And that was like, so I'll just get into it real quick. First, me and Scion were surfing Mavericks. We got out of the water. We found out your brother had passed away. And I was like, what? So I called you. You answered first ring, and you're like, it's true, like before I even said anything. So we dealt with that and your brother's service and blah, blah, blah. And so that was Sion's first time at Mavericks. And then March or whatever comes around, and I'm like, we're going to Mavs, Sion. And then I got Sion to go to Mavs for a second time, and then he drowned on me. And then it was just like all this shit was happening. I had just broke my leg before your brother passed. And then it had been a while, and I'm like, and I was thinking, what would Sion want? What would he do if it was me that died? And I'm like, how would he want me to take it? And I'm all, he would want me to go bigger and gnarlier and just go nuts. And so I'm like, we're going. And then I was like, come on, let's go. And you're like, I don't know, this and that. And I was like, Bruce, you don't want to miss this swell. In 20 years, you don't want to look back and know you missed it. And then
I know. I remember like, I got back from Indonesia and my back was at a pinched back thing, and I was kind of tired, and I was like, but when you said that, you're like, I remember you said, yeah, you're like 20 years, you want to look back, and you're all, what you said was, you're all, at the end of the year, if you're gonna open, you're gonna see in the magazine, you're gonna see this swell in the magazine, and you could have been there. You don't want to be sitting there going, "Oh, I could have been there. But could have, should have."
But then I pulled out the.
Oh, yeah, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And then I pulled out the 10-foot pink.
Go, boom! I didn't even have boards. I remember. I had like 3 of my brother's boards. I didn't, because like I only had short boards, pipe boards, and then like a Waimea board. I didn't have like that. I didn't have that 7-foot to. I went from like a 7 Waimea, and I did no 8s, none of that size. So I was like, that size of waves, I'm not. I don't. It's like either pipeline 12-foot, 7'2" down, and then that range of boards is like a weird shape size for me. So I was like, it's not something I had in the quiver.
So
my brother did, but he already passed away. So I took some of his boards. I remember on that trip. I think I broke them all like one day, like 3 of them.
No, you broke all the boards.
Jumped on your pony, the pink pony.
Yeah, I remember when I pulled out the 10-foot pink board, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy.
Oh, I definitely did. I was like, what? What the? A 10-foot board on a shallow, draining left?
But then
that's a recipe for disaster.
But then you broke all your boards.
Hey, all or nothing, that one.
Yeah. And so you broke all your boards, and I caught the wave of my life. I paddled in and got that one wave, and I was like in tears, and I came back to the boat, and you're like, I broke my board. I'm all, Bruce, try it. You're all, I've never rode a board over 7.2 backside. I'm all, I don't give a f. Go out there and try this thing. And you're all, okay, Nathan. And I'm all, guarantee you'll catch one.
I was floating. I had nothing. My shit was all broken, and I was just like, it was so beautiful that day too. It was glassy and it's nice. And I remember you're like, come on, and I was like, all right. I remember getting on that thing, and I was like, I started paddling. I just started laughing to myself, going, oh man, I'm in trouble. Like, just you get that glide. You're like, that you're capable of paddling into anything out there that day. Like, I was like, oh no. And I was kind of like laughing to myself, like, I'm so like, I just know I just know what's the outcome of this is gonna be. Like, yeah, I'm gonna paddle into a big, perfect left, and I'm gonna hold that rail. I saw that wave before it even came in my head. The whole thing. You know what I mean? It's so weird. I pictured that whole scenario before it even happened. Like paddling past everyone on that huge pink board. You know, everyone's on like 7.6s or 8 whatever, and I'm on this fucking, what is it, 9.8, and I'm just like gliding. I remember Reef was the first guy where I was gliding right past Reef. Hey, Reef. And I remember sitting down, just like still just like chuckling to myself, knowing what am I doing? Just knowing like this is I'm gonna get slaughtered because catching a wave out there backside forefin, and you know, I mean, I only forefins. I've only ridden forefins up until that point, like not much, you know, like not much. So I've never rode a board that big with 4 fins, and I'm going left, and it's Tavarua, and it's really big. It's kind of I'm just going like, what? I'm like going like, you better be ready for this. And I was like, all right, telling myself with a smile, let's do this, because I know the waves are coming. Sure enough, 5 minutes later, whoa, that big wave came, and I was like, oh, here we go, boop boop boop, and I remember taking off, and you know, it's a 10-foot board, backside forefin. You ain't pumping that thing, you know what I mean? It's awkward as it is. I'm just trying to set one line and turn and go. And like, if you look at the thing, I'm like, it felt like I was on a bobsled. That's how big the board felt to me. It felt like a bobsled. And it felt like I was on a bobsled or a couch or something. And and my feet are so close together. I'm in this like little pocket bubble on the board, and I'm like holding the rail. Like if I could have got like a little bit more of a pump, there's like a little rivet on the wave. I could have rode this little side wedge, like a little ripple. That was, if I could have got just on top of that, I think I might have been able to make it, but I wasn't. So I was just holding that rail, and I was just like, just seeing this hugest, bluest, most mesmerizing vision ever. I'm just like, oh my God, this is like, I'm just like, this is it. This is it. Like, wow. Like, it was almost like it had me like stuck, like how mesmerizing it was. And as that's going on, I'm realizing, whoa, there's this big trough down here just going, whoa, and it's black, it's dark, and it's the wave hitting hitting the reef, and that pocket that happens right there in the barrel, you know what I mean? Right by the lip where it hits and it opens up, and it's like dry reef, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that wave's barreling, and the lip's landing right there, and it's literally like almost like a dry walkway, but reef. And when the wave was eating me, like I fell into that black pocket, and it was like a walkway, but it was a big long reef walkway, but it was dry reef. I just went straight onto dry reef, and I hit my it was gnarly. I had a long sleeve vest on, and I hit my eye, my chin, and like my arm, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, but literally when I jumped off, I went on the dry reef. Like, it's like there was no water there. It was like an aquarium got sucked out, and I just hit on the reef, da, 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 and then the water came. And then when the water came over me, fuck, the pressure was so intense because I was really deep. And I think I don't know if I had a leash on or whatever, the leash broke or whatever, but the rash guard or the wetsuit long sleeve got pulled over my head. And but when the water came over me like that, after being on my knees on the dry reef, the pressure was so intense. It was like, it felt like my ears were about to blow up, and my jaw felt like it was pressing out, like from the pressure. I was like, it was, I've never felt something like that before, you know, like, and then I was like, this is heavy. And then the rash guard is over my head, and I'm trying to get that thing off because I'm just getting throttled. And I'm going, oh. And I'm fighting to get this rash guard off my head, because it was like a hockey fight when they pull it over. I was stuck like that, like hit the reef on my knees, on my face, and now I'm in this like hockey fight situation with my jersey. And I finally get that off. I'm like, yes, but it's still stuck to my arm, the whole rest of the wetsuit, and it's like an anchor. And I'm like, and that's already been a process of doing flips. And then I'm swimming, trying to get up, and the anchor's on me. I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as all that's just all going on, I remember Garrett McNamara, him saying the night before, like, was it him or Dave Wassel talking about they had a 2-wave hold down. And that was going on in my head. I was like, because I was like, I'm in trouble. I already hit the reef. Bang, 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 bang. And there's just a lot going on. Time does slow down. Like, I swear, when you're about to drown or die or something, like, like, it is, your life does flash in front of you, like a book, like on, when you make those cartoons and you flip the book, the stick cartoons. That started happening with my life as I started running out of air, because I was like 5 breaths, and I'm not even close to the top. It's black, and I'm like, started to swallow my breath. A picture book of my life started happening really quick. Images, real fast. I'm like swallowing my breath, going, oh my God, if Garrett had a 2-wave hold down the day before, if there is another wave, I'm done. And that's what I was thinking about. And then the picture of life starts happening. It's like everything starts happening really quick. Whoa. And thank God, or whatever, there wasn't another wave. So it wasn't my time to get transcended. I came up, and Russo was there, of all people, the only photographer in the water. Crazy enough, he got that shot, probably one of the best shots of my life. He was the guy in the water. I don't really remember. I was damn near about to black out, and everyone's coming up and like grabbing on him or something, and that's kind of all I really remember. And I don't really remember. And then next thing I remember, I'm by the boat, but I don't remember how I got over there. But that was close.
So that was kind of.
But you know what I mean? From talking to you on the boat, I want to say like 8 minutes, 6, 7 minutes after you caught that wave. I want to say 8 minutes later, I was already on that wave.
Right.
That whole mind-boggling shit went on.
But that was kind of like, we had a full escapade of all these bad things happening, and then all of a sudden we're there, and then we get these crazy waves. Like, I got my wave, and then I made you ride the board, and then you went out and got the craziest wave of your life. And then I just remember, like, oh man, I just rode the wave of my life. I was like, kind of just like sitting back and being all stoked.
Tripping too.
And then
what? 6 weeks later, where are we?
It wasn't even 6 weeks. It was like 3 weeks, and you're like, Nathan, you gotta get down here.
And it's the same scenario, but even closer in time. I want to say.
Yeah.
I caught that huge wave in Tahiti. I thought, okay, I almost died in Fiji. That was damn near close. This one in Tahiti, I'm like, oh, for sure, this is it. It's game over. Like, crucified, arms open. Okay, Allah Akbar, whatever. Where am I going after this? I thought I was going to get shredded. It didn't happen. I got blown in the lagoon.
So what?
He picks me up, and then I come right out, and I see you getting that wave.
No.
I'm going, yeah, Nick, go. And then I'm going, no. And I'm like, oh my God, I think Nathan's dead. Because I watched that wave with me and Kobe coming out of the lagoon back into the lineup.
So that's why
I had to jump off so Kobe could fly in there to assess the situation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell people, though, is like, so 2 or 3 weeks later, you're in Tahiti telling me, Nathan, you got to come to Tahiti. It's going to be so big, blah, blah, blah. I'm all I ain't going to Tahiti. They're having the contest. And you're all, no, you gotta come. It's gonna be nuts. And then I'm
Yeah,
like,
that
oh,
was the
I'll
first
go.
time I went to Tahiti since my brother died too, and I was supposed to go home because I don't know, but I was supposed to go home, but they're like, oh, it's supposed to be like 12 feet. They said 12 feet. I was like, oh, maybe I'll stay. I'll surf before the event, like.
No, but then
They
yeah,
said it would be like 12 to 15 feet, maybe.
it was code red.
And I'm like, yeah. So I fluffed it up with you on the phone. I'm like, oh, Nate, you got to get down here. It's going to be perfect. I had no idea it was going to be that big at all.
Yeah. No, but then it was like code red, and then we couldn't even pull it off because you had the ski. So you're like, I got the ski. I'm okay, I'll get down there. But then everything was closed. I couldn't find you, this and that. And then I just went out on the boat, and then like after an hour I was waiting, and then you and Kobe came out, and then you towed right into these crazy ones, and then I was like, oh shoot, I didn't know what
Yeah,
to do.
I didn't stay at the end of the road that night. I was in town. So it's probably a good thing because I
So
didn't
was
have
I.
time to even know how big it was. I just went straight from getting dropped off at the end, walked to the house. Dingo's coming in with a broken leg. And I'm like, oh, let me use your board, Dingo. Not even assessing any situation, just like Kobe's there, and straight out there. Kobe's looking a little white. I'm like, what's up, Kobe? And I realized that it was really big.
No.
At the time, I didn't really understand it. I was just not even thinking properly about anything.
Yeah, you were calling me on the phone because I was driving from the beach coming. You're all, how big is it? Like 12 feet? And I was driving. I'm all, I don't know. It could be, but I think it. But there was like refrigerators on the street and shit. And then I'm like, I don't know.
I knew it was big because the first time I went to Tahiti was like 1995, and I was down there with I was with Ramana and Ozzy Wright, and there was a really big swell, and we were on Morea, and it was like 25 feet. It was huge. But the waves, when we went back to Tahiti, they were so big. They were going over the beach underneath Manoa's house and throwing rocks on Ramana's house. And I was like, holy shit. It looked just as big as that swell in 95 when I was there. And I remember Mike Stewart was there, and we're going to Chobu, and he's like, no. Like, no, it's not even possible. And then, but the ocean was like the stuff that was happening like on the beach, like the roads. It was the same as when I was like 15, 16 years old when I was there the first time. Fast forward to 2000, whenever that was. I was like, it had the same look of that many years prior. I was like, oh, it's not just 12, 15 feet. It's another level.
And that's the thing I remember too. And then I got one wave and pulled into the closeout, and then and Biff got it for me. And then Makua's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just trying to get something. He's all, here, Strider, give me your ski. And then he whipped me out there. And then I don't know if you guys were out or doing whatever, but I think you'd already caught a wave or two. And then I remember that one came in, and
when you got your big wave?
yeah, when I got my big wave.
I had the wave about 5 minutes before that.
Yeah, that's
that big one I poked on and went over the falls. And I didn't think, I just thought that was just a normal wave, you know what I mean? Because I nosedive. I couldn't see how big it was. I was trying to lift the nose of my board up because I was getting sucked up the face. And that shit all happened. And so by the time Kobe picked me up and drove me around the lagoon, as we were entering into the lineup, that's right when you got that wave. So it was like 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes after the wave I caught. That was the heaviest wave I ever caught.
yeah.
and then your wave comes. And I was like, our whole little run happened within like an hour, I want to say.
Yeah, and then I was like, Makua's like, you want another wave? I'm all, hell no, I'm over. But I didn't even see how big it was or nothing. I just knew it felt big. And then I bailed and I went back.
I saw it. It was big, but like, I just thought that's what was going on that day. That was the normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was like, all right, like, shit, we just got like, those are the sets. That's what everyone's doing. That's what we're doing. That's what I thought. Until, what's his name? I saw a picture. Remember?
And you texted me the photo the next day.
I think Pat Stacy. And I took a picture of his camera thing. And I'm like, holy shit, Nate. Because the angle that I saw your wave from was like coming into the lineup behind the boats. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, I saw like a big panoramic more view of you. His angle was like up on the boat, looking down at you, and it was like, I was like, I saw it from my angle, that was big, but from this angle, you could really see the depth of how big and sucking below sea level it was, and I was like, Nate, I sent you that picture. I'm like, you got the biggest wave ever. You did.
I remember that too, because I didn't even know. I left and went back to Papiete, but then the next morning I was cruising and then I get a text from you. And I looked at the photo and I thought it was the first wave where I was jumping off like halfway underwater. But then I was like looking at it close. I'm all, holy smokes, that's the one I'm riding that. And I just couldn't believe it was me. And I remember just going, holy shit, I'm so glad that I left.
Isn't that 1 month of our life, that was really like, that was heavy.
But there was a buildup.
Fiji, to that beautiful swollen Fiji, like to that dark, gnarly swollen Tahiti, like that was and like it felt normal to us, right? It's like, oh yeah, you know.
Yeah, it felt normal. It felt like that's what everybody was doing.
Because I remember meeting you afterwards, like we were surfing San Onofre, and it was just like super small and shitty, and we're talking about this. I think what we're talking about now. And I remember you're going like, I wonder if these people in the lineup, if they're hearing our conversation, they probably just think we're out of our minds, right? Like,
yes,
they probably don't even understand what we're talking about.
Yeah,
because we're trying to like talk. Remember, we were talking to each other about like those waves and shit.
But there was so much like bad, and there was so much hurt, and like, oh man, because just dealing with Sion being dead, and then
Sion, my brother, Tahiti is such a play like. That was the first time I've been back since my brother passed away, and I was staying in his room that we would always stay at. His board is there, and just like it was real. I feel like he saved me there.
Yeah, well, just the energy was just like going so gnarly. It was like uncontrollable, and like I would have never signed up for it. But now just looking at like the incidences and the history of what happened, and then our life story together and all this shit, I just look at it and I'm like, God, I don't have that with anybody. And like it's
I know, isn't that crazy? And just the whole like I mean, it's just our relationship, how we became friends and all that, with my brother and like your dad and stuff. It's I don't think people know that. I don't know. I mean, that
it was
that story, like how I was a fan of you and your brother way before I met you guys. And your dad is the person who would. Me and my brother first came to California. He would take us to lowers, give us grips and video us and that trussels, and he was friends with my dad and stuff back in the day, in like the 60s and 70s, and that's how that whole thing all created, It's all because of your.
That's what I mean. It started with your dad and my dad and your uncles, and then he would pick you up. I wasn't really surfing at the time too much. I was riding motorcycles and whatever, but he would be all, oh, these kids are gonna have.
Motorbikes. I was like, oh, I want to be like Nate. Motorbikes, crusty. You're just starting the whole crusty thing, bro. And you should tell that story too about your whole. You need to tell the people about your whole trend, like that time in Tahiti where you're married and you're like this is the turning point in your life from going from being a freestyle motorbike pioneer, which you were starting it with those guys, straight up, Trigger, Larry, Linkovel. You were the innovator, creation of that whole style, and then you went to Tahiti, and then you caught that wave in the heat, and that turned you in a whole nother direction of life.
Yeah, I was talking to Braden about that the other day, and like how when the waves got big, because I got the 210s, I made it from the.
You gotta tell people, explain that story of going from the, because rest in peace, Trigger Gump. I became friends with him, and it was only because of you, all the stories I've heard from you. So when I moved over here and like we became friends, like, so I heard a different side of the story. He's like, oh, me and Nate going to Anaheim 1, I was his mechanic. Yeah. And the way that you guys all met, it's like you guys were in line, and I think I want to say Jeff Emming might have cut to sign in, and you're like, and then Larry saw that, and it's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then you guys, like, you became friends, and then you guys started doing that whole deal. right?
No, there was a lot of stuff that we did, and Trig was my dear friend. My mom would let me go with him when I was like 12 years old, and he had a car, it was painted like a zebra, and it would say it's a jungle out there on the hood. But for some reason, he was a skater, and so we skated a lot, and then he got me into riding, and then we rode, and then he ended up going on to I quit riding in Tahiti because I was like, oh, if I make it through the second round of the main event, I'm going to try and be a surfer. But then I made it all the way into the main event. And then into the second or third round of the main event, I got the 210s. But I was there because I rode for Gotcha France for motocross, and the Gotcha France was having the Tahiti contest.
Is that what you rode for Gotcha France for motorbike, not surfing?
Yeah.
No way. That's the time when me, you, and my brother were hanging out.
I think that was after.
That was after, but I did. Yeah, I didn't know that they were sponsoring you for motorbike.
Yeah.
I knew you were dope at motorbike because the footage I seen from Jimmy.
But then Trig went on to doing that world record jump. He went 277 feet far, but he still holds the highest record for 80 feet high.
Above, yeah.
Yes, and so then he came home.
Back to the story of you. So that the freestyle motocross, like you're doing Anaheim, like you did Anaheim 1 before, right?
Yeah, I did Anaheim. I did Seattle. I raced at Washougal.
Yeah,
but
you're really good.
But I was still a full liability.
That about you, you know what I mean? Like I do. That's why I ride motorbikes is because of you. I was looking. You want to do what the person you look up to does.
Yeah, no, those were good times.
And you were badass. I remember seeing a video of you trying to do a 360 on a motorbike. In what year was that?
96.
What?
96. 96.
Yeah, like we're up like.
So that's another thing too that I was telling because I interviewed Colby Raha, who has.
I just talked to Kobe last night.
But he has that world record, 55 feet. But I was telling him that I was doing foot plants, and he knows it too. But I actually invented the trick of going up and coming down. But it's crazy to see, like, now they go 55 feet high instead of like 4 feet high.
Yeah. So that innovation part of that whole part, you were right there in the beginning of it, like,
Yeah, no.
The motorbike freestyle, and the world, no one ever talks about that.
Well, I don't know. I'm talking to Bruce because that's the story we're getting after.
Okay, so
back to you.
Hey, do you like how I turned this interview around?
Yeah, I do.
People need to know about you too, like fuck.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that at someday. But
keep going on that about the Tahiti, how it changed you from being a motocross guy to I was there with you. That's why, remember, that's when we became like better, like good friends.
Yeah,
because we stuck around after the contest, and I remember you let me. I remember you. One of your boards.
No,
what board did you let me have? And I got a poster on it.
We traded boards.
Was it a Mayhem, right?
But what about when Grushka at the casino, when he gave me the $20 because all you guys were gambling, and I'm like, I don't gamble, gambling's stupid, and they're like, oh, and then it was I'm all, how do you play roulette? And they're all, here's
on your birthday number, right?
Yeah, and I'm all roulette. He's all bet a number or a color, but the number have higher odds. I'm all, oh, that's easy, 6. And I put the 20 down on 6, and it spun around and dropped in 6, and it was like 28 to 1 odds. And then everybody was screaming, and then we all got kicked out of the casino.
Yeah, we went to the casino straight over to Monorock.
Yeah.
And that was before the contest even started.
No, I think that was right after because we were kind of celebrating. But you probably have a better memory.
No, I swear it was like, I don't know. I thought it was right when I got there, to tell you the truth.
You did, physically.
Yeah, that was before the contest. Like, you had this. That trip was a changing point in your life, I believe.
Yeah, it sure was. I had 2 of my most life-changing moments.
At that time, you went to Tahiti. You were married, just freshly married, and no one really knew that. And you're like, what'd you tell Trey? I'm going on a surf trip, and I'm not coming back.
Yeah, this is what I said. I'm not working for a living. That's what I told him because I was working at my dad's.
Yeah, that's something I never wanted to do, is live in a 9-to-5 box office job. But anyways, Tahiti, that whole trip to get, like, you put the money in roulette, it hit, you got on the contest main event, and then you won. You got those waves, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna be a pro surfer after this bitch. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And then it was like Braden, Chava, Brock. And so that was the other thing too. Do you remember after the contest when it got huge and Braden would be like, imagine towing into this. Imagine if you just used a jet ski. And then Hank was the only person with a jet ski there. But then I remember looking over and seeing Noah Johnson, Sean Briley, and Brock Little, like after the contest, go out into the abyss and go do something. But I don't know what they did, but they were definitely catching huge waves.
Yeah, because like right after that, like I want to say right after that, like they towed into Sapinas. Remember that? Like Conan Hayes. Was it Conan or was it Noah?
Poto.
Remember those waves, Poto and them?
Yeah.
They towed into it. It looked like Chopa, but it wasn't. It was Sapinas.
Yeah, it was bigger than Chopo.
Bigger, it was gnarlier. It was in that Jack Johnson made a video, and who caught those waves? Was it?
I don't know, but it was John Roseman and Conan was in the same magazine as the Tahiti thing, and they were the ones who were towing in at Cloudbreak, and that's why I brought the 10-foot board to Cloudbreak because I remember seeing those photos.
The photo is behind the bar at Tavarua. You'd always see that when you're like, in your mind, you'd always look at that going like, how the fuck could I get in that thing? Like, you know what I mean? Everyone thought that, like, how, yeah. That's why you brought the 10-foot board, but you know what I mean? You know that photo I'm talking about?
Yes, but it was in that tow swell was in the same magazine as that Chopo contest in '97 or whatever. And I just remember seeing the opening spread and it was like Conan. And then John Roseman had a picture in the back, but it was like 20-foot solid Tavarua. And I remember thinking, oh, it gets like that. I'm bringing a 10-foot board. And then sure enough, it was like.
I was tripping when you brought that board. I was like, what? The only time I ever think about reaching a 10-foot board is at Waimea or something.
Right on. So, hey, this is what I want to ask you too, because those are great. I know you're just kind of back from some recovery, and we're so thankful for where you're at in your life right now. And I know the whole world wants to hear from Bruce, and the whole world wants to see the greatest comeback ever in surfing. Not to put any pressure on your shoulders, but what?
DJ Penn said you can't call it a comeback if you didn't go anywhere.
Okay, well, what about the alien? What about the alien light show that we've seen in Vegas? So, yeah, there you go. No, but what's your plans? What are you up to? What are you up to, and what's your plans, and how do you feel?
I'm just cruising. Got a new sponsor, Dark Sport. There's these guys. They're out of Torrance. They're a bunch of cool people, and it's a brand. It's not just one typical thing. It's a brand, and these guys are cool, and they're giving. I don't know. I'm excited. You know, I wasn't thinking of any sponsor that I was interested in. You know what I mean? And then these people came, and at first I was still kind of tripping out, but then after, you know, Alan Boy, I know him from back in the day, and it's his nephews, Alan Larson, and they're all such cool people, and they're good people, and I don't know, I guess they had my posters on the wall and stuff, and as growing up, so I was like, okay, that's cool, and so they believe in me, and here we are, you know. I'm going with them, and we're gonna see where it takes us.
I saw that.
You know?
I love to see that.
Them, you know, like on the team. I think they've got Peter Mel, John Mel, Max Holloway, his wife, Koa. But yeah, it's Brandon Wolf. Like, you know, it's not just one. You know, my friend Lyle Nicely. It's just a bunch of characters, you know what I mean?
I saw that, and I was super stoked because I think it fits you well, and I was really stoked to see that they sponsored Peter Mel, who's been a lifetime of like going gnarly, just the underdog.
Yeah, it's crazy because Peter Mel's dad and my dad were friends.
Of course, they had the first surf shop in Santa Cruz, Freeline.
Yeah.
So that's cool. You got a new sponsor, and you're gonna be surfing and coming around and hanging out and being Bruce Irons.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be doing me, and
okay. Well, you know how much we love you.
Love you, Nathan. I love Nathan Fletchers and the Fletchers and the whole. I like what you're doing here, Nathan. It's cool, like, because you know, you're a very interesting person that people don't, or they do, but there's a lot of things that people wanna know the stories of things. Even like I do, like even with your brother, becoming friends with your brother, like just recently I was telling you, I was like, him telling me about his growing up and on the North Shore of Oahu, like how that all happened, being at the Jerry Lopez house with Jerry's mom, who lived there on the second floor, ran the house and just was a teacher, and him being a little white Holly, you know, I'm growing up as a Holly on Kauai, you know, like what he went through. It's like, you know, I went through the same emotions that you guys went through, you know what I mean? In him, like, growing up there in Hawaii, it's really, that's another time, another story, but like, yeah, it's pretty cool to hear it from his mouth, you know, because I always like looked up to him and heard stories and this and that. And then, you know, you see pictures in the magazine, you know, as a kid, you painting stuff in your head, you know, like, because there was no internet yet. So to actually hear it from his mouth, it really made it a lot, you know, more visual for me.
Yeah, he dealt with a lot of bullshit, a lot of haters, people that doubted him, and he was supernatural.
Yeah, that's such a good like term, like supernatural. Yeah, he was supernatural. Like he was an alien.
Yeah.
He is. He not was. He is, and he's still doing it. That's the great thing about it. Like he's still psyched. He's still pushing forward.
Yeah, onward and upward.
Onward and upward.
Yes.
Think fast.
This guy. Anyways, I love you, Bruce, and
I love you, Nate.
have a great day. The world's so happy for you, and
World's happy. I'm happy. We're all happy.
yes, that's the main thing. So keep it up. Stay in
All
touch.
right, let me
Later,
know.
bro.
Let's go on a trip.
Adios. Thank you.
Thank you.